What is up, YouTube? Alright, so I'm doing my video, and I am scripted in this. First I want to say to Holiday Ministries. Holiday Ministries quoted 2 Timothy 3:16. Now, what I should have done is opened up to that beforehand. But I'm going to open up to it now. And I'm going to be reading it out of the New American Standard. Okay? 2 Timothy 3:16. $8.45. I normally don't use that, but today I just decided to. This is $8.45 to go on to just to get 2 Timothy. Now the verse you quoted, Angel, no. The verse you quoted was, "But evil men and impostors will proceed from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived." Now, he had noted that, talking about new Bible versions, I believe. I love milk. Okay. Now, I think the Holiday Ministries should actually take that scripture and read it himself by calling him evil. I think he misunderstands the reason behind this teaching, so I'm going to have to explain it. I'm not doing this to be divisive. I'm not doing this to not show Christian love. I'm doing this because KJVO is a divisive theology. So I'm doing it to stop division. Personally, I couldn't care less if somebody was KJVO, as long as they're not militant about it. I used to be KJVO. Not anymore, but I used to be. Now, this is to show that we can both be right and wrong, or right in this video. I could take this New American Standard, and I could put it up against an 1611 KJV. Alright. Now, okay. Now I also want to make a note to you. Holiday Ministries, you have said this, and so have other KJV only people, about the new versions being copyrighted. Well, you know as well as I do, the KJV was also copyrighted. So by not pointing that out, I feel you're being a little dishonest. Maybe you don't remember, I don't know. But the KJV did have the 17th century version of a copyright. And you know this, we've talked about this before. Now you're aware that in the crucifixion story, KJVO only say to people, like KJVO people, say that they don't like the dynamics of our translations. Well, in the crucifixion story, you use the words cast, same, his, and teeth when there's no equivalent in the Greek language for those words. So, the KJV translators were practicing dynamic equivalence. Okay? Now, you also do not admit that the New King James, here's my pit minion right here, also uses the Masoretic and traditional text. You offer a criticism of the 1885 Bible that you had. The reason why you see a difference in those between the English version of 1885 and the King James is because they didn't use the same manuscripts. They slipped in an additional manuscript. But you also don't see the same wording between the AV 1611 and the Tyndale Bible, the Bishop's Bible, the Geneva Bible. They're not, the King James isn't verbatim for that. So why is it okay to translate Greek and Hebrew into Elizabethan English, but not to translate Elizabethan English into modern English? That's what I want to know. I have a few scriptures I want to go over here. No. And I'm going to go over them in the New American Standard and the KJV, 1611, from local church Bible publishers. So, we're going to go to Zechariah 13:6. Okay. And from Zechariah 13:6 in the AV 1611 reads as follows. And one shall say unto him, What are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, Those which I was wounded, or those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Okay. Now, New King James. It's a Pit and Minion. It's like a $200 Bible right here, man. Zechariah 13:6. I'm going to show you a point here, okay? Zechariah 13:6 in the New King James. And one will say, What are these wounds between your arms? And then he will say, Those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Between your arms and in your hands actually is the same statement, for the simple reason of there's modern evidence now to prove that when the Greeks had spoken about that, they would generally call this area from your wrist to your hand your hands. So what are these wounds within your hands? We don't call the wrist to the hand your hands. Okay? We call it your arm or wrist. Zechariah 13:6. In the New American Standard. This reads, And one will say to him, What are these wounds between your arms? Saying the same thing. And we can go to a paraphrase. We can do that if you want to. Just to show you. Zechariah 13:6. Okay, this is way off. And hold on. And if someone says, "Where did you get that black eye?" then they'll say, "I ran into the door at a friend's house." Now that has nothing. That's not the crucifixion at all. Okay. It's the message. I don't like the message. That's going to be the issue that I cover in here. Zechariah 13:6 is talking about being crucified from here. Not saying that there's another difference between here and here. Because there's modern evidence to show that the Romans actually did not crucify people by, in their hands, but rather in their arms or wrists. Peace. Summary, comment below. Teaching number 2 is coming up in a little bit later. Deuces.